Here.
Councilwoman Scholl.
Here.
And Councilman Sischka.
Here.
They're present.
All right, thank you for that. Welcome, everyone. Lots of people here to hear about the census, I guess. All right, we're going to have one item today, and so let's start with item 3A.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Bryn Stotler, Director of Community Development. This is the latest installment of our census updates for you. As you know, I've been presenting to you about once a month during this education and motivation phase for the U.S. Census. The decennial census day is actually April 1st of this year, and folks will begin receiving their invitations to respond to the census in their mailboxes in the first 2 weeks in March. We thought it would be a very nice addition to these presentations to have our partnership specialist come and speak to us about the U.S. Census and the regional activities and also the state level activities. So I would like to introduce to you Kimberly Robinson, who is our partnership specialist from the U.S. Census Bureau.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Bryn. My name is Kimberly Robinson. I am the partnership specialist for the 2020 census that comes up in March. My job is to reach out to communities before the census starts on March 12, 2020, be a resource for education, and to make sure that the city of Prescott has everything it needs to ensure a successful census. I'm based out of Flagstaff, Arizona, so ignore that signature block. I'm not in Dallas. All right, so first off, does everyone remember the 2010 census? Kind of rings a bell. All right, so every 10 years, the federal government is tasked with doing a decennial census. That's taking account of everyone in the United States at the time. It's in the Constitution. All your information that you put on your census form is protected under Title 13. That means that no other federal agency, no one can ask for your census information. All census employees are sworn for life to protect your information, regardless of their position. All your information is purely statistical, so that means that come December 31st, 2020, when we deliver all census information to the White House, all your information will be only in statistical format. So what's going to happen is that it's going to be presented as Yavapai County and a particular section of Yavapai County. Your information is kept in statistical form for 72 years. So guess what's going to happen in 2022? The 1950 census data is going to be released, and Ancestry.com is going to come knocking on your door. Just kidding. So Ancestry.com, 23andMe, I'm calling it. They're going to do another push for you to come and check out the 1950 census. It's going to be available. Right now, the 1940 census data is fully available, and that's what a lot of websites are using. So, the census. What is going to happen? How are we going to contact you? How are we going to find you, even if you don't want to be found? There are going to be 5 mailings. Basically, you can say postcard, postcard, questionnaire, postcard, postcard. That is for folks that get regular home mail delivery. You purchased a home or you live in an apartment, and the U.S. Postal Service comes and delivers mail to your home. For folks that purchased a home, and you got your home and someone said, go get your P.O. box, you don't have the option of home mail delivery. You're going to be handled a bit differently, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So starting in mid-March, about March 12th, you're going to get a postcard in your mailbox. It's going to say, please reply to the census because you're very important to us. You're going to have a 12-digit unique identifying number on that card. It's okay if you lose that card. You don't really need that unique identifying number because we'll know who you are anyway by your address. If we don't hear from you by March 20th or so, then we're going to send you another postcard, happily. All right, and what's going to happen is starting March 12th, you can start to fill out your census form online or via telephone for the first time ever. So you have between March 12th and March 20th to get your census form done. So starting about the end of March, if we still haven't heard from you, we're going to give you a form. We're going to mail you a form. The census form, the written census form, comes in English and Spanish. Most of you will get an English form. All right? So if we haven't heard from you then, you're going to get 2 more postcards. What's going to happen for folks that get regular home mail delivery? When will people start knocking on your door? May 15th. If we have not heard from you, May 15th. It won't be someone as grumpy as I am. It'll be someone very nice. They're going to come knocking on your door, and they're going to ask you all the questions on the census form. If you are not home, and if they cannot reach you, we're going to knock on your door, and we're going to leave the form for you. Now, for folks that do not have regular home mail delivery, you're in type of enumeration area 6, TEA 6. You only have a post office box. Starting March 12th, change that, March 14th, we're going to start knocking on your door because we know we're going to have to reach out to you anyway. Now, starting March 12th, you can still go online and fill out your form, or you can call it in a toll-free number. But if we haven't heard from you, we're going to knock on your door. Any questions about this timeline? Yes, sir.
On the form itself going on the internet, is going to be a hypertext transmission protocol secure?
Yes, it will be secure. Absolutely. Great question. Yes, sir. And that brings up something else. When you go online, it'll be 2020census.gov. There will not be an app to download. That's one of the scams that's going around. You might see a 2020 Census app. There's no app to download. You can do it on your phone. It'll be a mobile-friendly website. But yes, it is an encrypted website. Yes, ma'am. If someone refuses to fill out the census form, the Census Bureau is not a law enforcement agency. I get that question a lot. The census is mandated by the Constitution, and it is mandated by federal law. So that means that census takers, when they knock on your door, we can't heed the no trespassing signs, get off my property, things like that, because we are working under federal law. We're going to attempt to contact you about 3 times. Worst case scenario, if after 3 times we cannot get in touch with you and you don't answer your door, we're going to reach out to your neighbors. It's something that we call it's something like a protocol. We're going to reach out to your neighbors, and we're going to ask your neighbors, do you know who lives there? Do you know how many people live there? Just to get a sense of the numbers. Any other questions up to this point? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. What about people that are experiencing homelessness? We call them people that are experiencing homelessness because it's called a person-first philosophy. You're a person first. You're going through a bad time. So people experiencing homelessness, we're going to reach out to shelters, and I've already been to several shelters, and we can actually use administrative lists for people that are staying in those shelters. We will also go out personally and count people who are experiencing homelessness using information that we receive from the county and from our partners about where you might find these people. So up in Flagstaff, where I'm based out of, areas of the Coconino National Forest, where I know through experience that there are groups of people living there. And what I've done is I've given that to the area census office in Flagstaff. I've given them that information, and once the enumerators, the census takers, get active with counting those people, then they'll know pretty much where to go. All right. Thank you for the questions. I have a few census updates, but just a reminder to please count everyone living with you. Count everyone under your roof. It could be that aunt that's been living in your basement for 6 months. It could be your cousin that's couch surfing, foster children, adopted children, grandchildren. Count them all, because if they're with you, they'll be counted, and that means that they're not where they normally are. Count everyone under your roof. On the census form, you can fill in up to 99 people. So basically, if you own an arena, okay, if you own an arena and you have everybody all up in there, count them all. Traveling circus, actually. That's a great point. All right, so the state of Arizona has recently launched its own census website, azcensus2020.gov. This is specific to Arizona and has a lot of great information about what affects Arizona specifically. It was tailored out of Maricopa County, so hopefully it does address northern Arizona a lot better. Northern Arizona is unique, and one of the challenges that I have is it's rural. Rural areas are always undercounted, and there's a reason people move to rural areas. A lot of times they don't want to be found. I live in a very rural area in Flagstaff, and I don't think my neighbors are using their real names, so that's a challenge. So there's a reason. Now, the hurdles that we face in northern Arizona are not similar to southern Arizona. So I always reach out and just please tell your friends, family, neighbors, fill out your census form. There is a program coming about called Statistics in Schools. We're reaching out to superintendents, principals, teachers, and you might see your children and grandchildren come home with census activities. This is just to educate kids, because kids, we have found, are very instrumental in getting their parents to fill out the forms, especially in ESL, English as Second Language homes. Children are very effective, more effective than partnership specialists in getting their parents to fill out the forms. So you might see it in the backpacks, all crumbled up like my kids, all the way down at the bottom with some milk spilled on it. But these are activities where they can go through and fill out a mock census form. They can also do coloring, and also on 2020census.gov, there are a lot of great videos tailored to children. Now, for the first time, like I mentioned, you'll be able to fill out your census form online and via telephone. You can go to 2020census.gov, and you can also go to census.gov and search for a 2020 census form. There is an example of the form online. You can go through all the questions and see. There's also a YouTube video on the 2020 Census YouTube channel. You can go through all the questions. Every question on the census form has a procedural or legislative reason. That's why it's on the form. If you ever want to see a census question on the form, ask your congressman. And I'm not being just a smart A about that. Talk to your congressman. So every question has a reason. You can explore the census form, go through the tabs, and it will tell you exactly why we're asking that question and how to fill it out. For example, how do you count the people in your home? Like I said, who do you count in your home? Everybody, including your traveling circus buddies.
They have to be living.
One of those questions. All right. Actually, that is an excellent question. Do they have to be living? Yes. April 1st. April 1st is the key date. April 1st, if they're living. Now, that does bring about some questions about how do I handle newborn babies. Hopefully I don't drop them, but just kidding. How do you count newborn children? If they are born as of April 1st, 2020, yes, you count them. Any other questions? Any other questions? You are the peanut gallery. Yes, ma'am. You will be able to see the results as private citizens probably starting in April or May of 2021. We deliver the information, the U.S. Census Bureau delivers the statistical information December 31st, 2020. It trickles down and it goes through your regions, your states, then your municipalities and your towns. And when they decide to share that information is when they're able to discern it. Back in 2010, I believe a lot of towns shared that information summer 2011. How are assisted living communities handled? They are handled very specifically. What we do is that we approach them. They're called group quarters. We call them group quarters. So group quarters by definition means there's a whole bunch of people that are not necessarily related, and they don't necessarily pay the rent. So with group quarters, what we're going to do is we're going to approach the administrators, like I've done with several shelters, and we say to the administrators, we can either take an administrative list, and we'll count from there, or an enumerator will come in at a certain point and go through and hand count everyone in there. A place that As a partnership specialist, I do not approach, and as a partner in the community, we approach our domestic violence shelters. They are handled completely separately at the national level, and it's the confidentiality is even higher on that one. Yes, ma'am. Are there any questions about citizenship or documentation? Not on the decennial census form. The citizenship question has been removed from the decennial census form. Keep in mind that the Census Bureau does administer 80 to 100 surveys every year. The citizenship question is asked elsewhere. Yes, sir.
I understand that the census is used to determine the number of elected officials that the state will have. Locally, we have in our, I read recently that one of our state representatives is seeking to prevent college students from voting where they're going to college. Will that impact the census requiring students register with the census where their parents live, or are they still going to be required to register where they're
That's a great question. Thank you. Yes, actually, we do have several people in Coconino County trying to address that situation where there is a politician deterring students from voting. However, the census has nothing to do with voting. We try to keep that completely separate. The census is apolitical, areligious, acultural. We are numbers only. So will it impact the census? I'm not sure. It could, it couldn't. But college students are typically counted at their campus because that's where they live and sleep most of the time. That's the key, live and sleep most of the time. So most of the college students will be counted. My counterpart, her name is Tiffany Harvey. She works with higher education, and she is focused strictly on colleges and college campuses to ensure that college students know that they should fill out their census forms. And if you have a college student that happens to come home for spring break and you have your census form, remember that your college student should count him or herself where she lives and sleeps most of the time. So that will likely be if they go to NAU and Flagstaff, if they have an apartment and they're going to YCC, Yavapai Community College, they should count themselves where they live and sleep most of the time. Yes, sir. Yes, actually, we addressed that back in December. He asked, the website has been beta tested. If it crashes, will we have a backup plan? Yes, back in December, a lot of the partnership specialists were asking that, and apparently it's supposed to be locked down tight. And it's not just, when you type in 2020census.gov and you go to fill out your form, it shouldn't just go to one site. So it's not like 50 people trying to jump in the same line. You're going to be directed out to several secure websites. Anything else? All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What are the financial benefits for an accurate census count in this area?
What are the financial benefits of an accurate census count? Wow, it's plentiful. I have seen what happens when there is not an accurate census count. The roads are falling apart, the schools are falling apart. It affects aspects of our lives that sometimes we don't even think about. So $675 billion in funding is being distributed by the federal government, purely based on census numbers. It's all a numbers game. If we miss someone in the census, that's over $2,000 for the next 10 years that will not be coming into your communities. That's $20,000 per person, whoever does not answer the census form. The census funds roads, it funds schools, Title I programs. It helps a lot of companies decide if they want to build in Prescott. The census also helps fund assistance programs such as WIC and SNAP. It does determine congressional seating. It determines if you're going to get that new recreation center. It's going to determine if you get that new playground. It's going to determine if you get that school expansion that you're looking for. And it also determines block funding. So there's a whole list of things. But everyone that I speak to tends to have a personal connection to the census. It's like, why does the census matter to you? For me, my two passions are Title I funding for schools and small businesses. My kids go to a Title I school. I'm a small business owner. I see what happens with those census numbers. Did I answer your question, sir?
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? We are hiring in Prescott. Jobs. We need you. 2020census.gov/jobs. You determine your schedule. The pay, $16.50 an hour, plus 0.579 cents per mile reimbursement. You work from your zip code plus 40 miles. We may also beg you to go work somewhere else because we really need you. We prefer to have people that work that are of the community as opposed to someone like me. I can come in your community, and you've seen me one time. You're like, oh, it's Kim with the bright yellow shirt. But y'all are of the community. So when you go knocking on doors, when it's time to do that, they won't answer the door for me. They'll answer the door for you, though. 2020census.gov/jobs. You will be a history maker. Your census form is your legacy. The census ends July 31st, 2020. That's the last time you'll be able to fill out your form. This will be your legacy for the next 10 years. Now, unless your wonderful elected representatives want to pay the census to come back and do a recount, come July 31st, 2020, those are going to be your numbers through 2030. Now, for working for the census, the state of Arizona has implemented a waiver. That means that you can work for the census. It will not affect your assistance. So if you're on WIC or SNAP or some other public assistance, your census income is not counted towards that. So we don't want you to lose your benefits simply because you decide to work for 3 months. So you're going to have your census income. It's not even going to be looked at for your benefits. Census, ignore that 62. It's now less now. Census Day is April 1st. That's the big kickoff. April Fools. All right. Census Day. Yes, sir, from the Peanut Gallery. What SSI? No, sir. Let me double check on that for you when you're talking about deductions. Yes, taxes, absolutely. But I will double check for that, and I'll get in touch with, I'll pick on Bryn, and I'll make sure I get your information. Yes, sir. But SSI, yes, it will be taking taxes out, yes. Okay, so Census Day is April 1st. I apologize for the slide. March 12th through July 31st. March 12th is the first day you can go online or call in and fill out your census form, regardless of what area. Home delivery or TEA 6, which is purely post office delivery. July 31st is the drop date. That's going to be your legacy. This is how Prescott's going to be remembered. Are you growing or are you staying the same? I'm always looking for partners, school principals, superintendents, small business owners, influencers on social media. You can have 100 followers. I'll consider you an influencer. That's more followers than I have. Known faces and trusted places. You can talk to me. If all else fails again, Bryn knows where to find me. I will gladly do a Trader Joe's run to come down here to speak to you. Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be on the last slide, too. I'm going to go ahead and go to that, too. Yavapai County, y'all have a very active census team. These are folks that have come together. Early last year, I've been working with them to ensure a complete count. They've been sending out information, coming up with a game plan. Your representatives are Andrea Shelton and Tony Ketchum of the county. These ladies are on top of it. Like I was telling Bryn, Yavapai County, y'all have been, knowing or not, y'all have been very active getting your census work done for over a year. I'm very proud of this county. I don't think y'all have much to worry about, but it all comes down to you getting your friends and your neighbors to fill out that census form. And this is my information. The email to text, quick explanation, that means that you can email my phone number. It will come across on my phone as a text, and I can reply to you as a text. Since I'm driving most of the time, that's usually the fastest way to get me. Any questions? Or did I do that good of a job? It's just like, y'all got it down.
thank you, Ms. Robinson, for coming down and for that presentation. Thank you for shopping in our city. We love to take your sales tax dollars. We appreciate that. And please send my greetings to my good friend, Mayor Evans.
Mayor, if I might, I just wanted to also acknowledge that Mayor Pro Tem Billy Orr is on the governor's statewide committee, and I wanted to offer her the opportunity to provide us an update at the state level.
Thank you, Bren. We've been talking about this a lot, Kimberly, on the radio and going out and making presentations. You were awesome. I want to take you with me next time. But one of the things I'd like to reiterate is that about $3,000 per person is what we stand to lose if we are undercounted. So it's really important that everybody gets counted. The other is representation. There are 435 representatives in the House of Representatives, and we stand the chance of getting another congressional district. Right now we have 9 based on our population. We're sure to get 10, and hopefully maybe even 11. We want to be represented in DC to the fullest. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
All right. I don't think there's anything else we need on this item, so that's the only item we had for our study session. So this meeting is adjourned. We will.